Hey, you alright? Welcome to another video. If you haven't been here before, I'm Cecilia Jo and welcome back to Bookmas. I'm not 100% sure which day we're on, which day this is coming out, but yeah, welcome back to Bookmas. Today I thought I would go through some new releases for 2024 that I'm excited to read and just give a little sort of plot summary to each one, but I'm not going to go into depth of them all because I always think I quite like going into books not really knowing what's going on, so I don't want to like ruin it for anyone. So yeah, I think there are about 24 of them. I tried to do 24 new releases for 2024, so hopefully there are. And yeah, I did make a little shelf on my Goodreads with them all on there. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first one we've got is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. So this is the author that wrote A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I really enjoyed. So this one is, obviously it's about a witch who was really powerful, and then she brought her aunt or great aunt back to life, and that sort of dwindled her powers, and now she helps her aunt run this inn in Lancashire. But then she discovers this like spell book that could help her get all of her powers back, and this beautiful, very handsome but very grumpy, I think, historian works in this, where this old spell book is, and hopefully it will try and help her get her powers back. So it's kind of a little bit of a romance, a little bit of a sort of grumpy sunshine maybe. I don't know if they're both actually grumpy, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's just a really nice like witchy book. I absolutely loved A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I just thought it was a really lovely like cozy witchy read, so I'm hoping this one is going to give that same sort of vibe. Then next up we have got a novel love story by Ashley Poston. This is the author that wrote The Dead Romantics and 7 Year Slip, and I really enjoyed both of those. I feel like she has really like unusual concepts that I've not seen before in the best way possible. So this one I think is about a woman that is going on sort of a girls trip, but it all just goes a little bit wrong, and she ends up in this bookshop with this really grumpy man, and that's kind of where it starts. So I think it's a little bit of a grumpy sunshine again, a nice little romance. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what the main plot is. I think the romance is more of a subplot, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I just absolutely love Ashley Poston's writing. Like I say, I really enjoyed the other two books, so honestly I think at this point I would read whatever she brought out. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So it's a novel love story. Okay, next up on the list we have got The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this follows the Inheritance games, and I think it's at the end of the Brothers one that it sort of carries on to this, or maybe it's the end of the third Inheritance games. I can't fully remember, but I really enjoyed the Inheritance games, just that like trilogy. I really enjoyed. The Brothers Hawthorne I wasn't a massive fan of. It just seemed to be a lot going on but nothing really happening type thing. But this one I'm really excited for. I don't really want to tell you what it's about in case you've not read the Inheritance games, because it will ruin it. But yeah, it kind of gives a little spoiler to what it's about at the end of the Inheritance game, so if you have read that you'll know what this is. But I'm really excited to read this one. I'm looking forward to getting back like into reading with those characters and seeing sort of where they've gone from where the other books left off. And I just really love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' sort of writing. I think it's so easy to read, it just flows really well. Other than the Brothers Hawthorne, which I wasn't a massive fan of. But this is also the author that wrote the Natural series, which again I really enjoyed. It's very like, it's like a YA Criminal Minds type vibe. And yeah, I really enjoyed that, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I don't know if I'm really doing this video like properly. I know nothing's really in order, and I'm not giving like massive, you know, what every book's about, because I'm not even 100% sure myself. It's just either a book that I've seen and I thought, oh, that looks good, or it's an author that I've read from before that I've really enjoyed, or it's like a follow-on from a series or something like that. So I don't massively know what all of these books are about. I just know I'm looking forward to reading them. So yeah, hopefully this video, you know, hopefully it's flowing okay and it's coming across correctly. But yeah, I also don't want to spoil anything by reading like the blurb of every book. So yeah, hopefully this is okay. There are 24 books to get through, so I think I just want to like get through them quickly so you can see all the new books coming out. And yeah, maybe I should have done them in order of when they were coming out, but never mind. It is what it is. This is what we're here for. A little bit of chaos at this time of year. Never hurt anyone, you know. Okay, next up we've got The Bookbinder's Guide to Love by Catherine Garbera. I don't think I've read anything by this author before, but I just thought this book looked really good. So it's a very like, it's again another witchy book. I just think sometimes I really love a good witchy book. I don't know why. I love the like magic of it and the sort of like, I don't know, the sort of vibe I guess that witchy books give. I just really enjoy them. So yeah, it's another witchy book. I think it's another sort of romance with, I think it's Sarah she's called, and she has like this bookshop with her friends, and her mentor passes away and leaves this book to her, and his grandson wants the book but she doesn't want to give the book up, and then he ends up working in the shop and it sort of develops from there. So yeah, it just seems like a cute romance, but also a bookshop setting and witches. What more could you ask for, really? So yeah, that is The Bookbinder's Guide to Love. And then next up we've got Thieves Gambit 2, which is untitled at the moment. So yeah, it's coming out at some point in 2024 and I'm not sure what it's called, but I really enjoyed Thieves Gambit. It basically follows Roz Quest, who joins this game that's called the Thieves Gambit, and she comes from a long line of professional thieves, and she has to do all these little trials and games to win this Thieves Gambit and the prize is a wish, and she really needs this wish. You can wish for anything that you want to and they will provide it for you. So yeah, it kind of follows that. It's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a YA. It's very easy to read, flows really well, and I do really enjoy like a book that's about like games or riddles or, you know, things you've got to work out, mind games, stuff like that. I love a book like that. So yeah, that's kind of what Thieves Gambit is about. And then it ends on a cliffhanger. So I thought Thieves Gambit was just a standalone. I didn't realise it was going to be part of a series. So when it got to the end page and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to find out what's happening. It leaves on a proper cliffhanger. So that's what Thieves Gambit 2 is going to be about, I'm assuming. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. I don't really know when it's coming out, what it's going to be called, anything about it really. Even when you click on the book details, it doesn't give you like a sort of summary of what the book's about. So yeah, I don't really know. I think it's going to be an enemies to lovers, because that's kind of where the first one sort of finishes, where you think that the two leads are going to be an enemies to lovers in the next book. But yeah, I don't really know. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm looking forward to reading it. Okay, next up we have got Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is the third book in the Maple Hills series. I don't know if it's just going to be a trilogy or not. So the first one was Icebreaker and the second one was something that is escaping my mind right now. Let me have a look. It's on my shelves somewhere. Wildfire. The second one was Wildfire. The first one was Icebreaker. So the first one, Icebreaker, was kind of like a, I guess, forced proximity. He was in the hockey team, I think it was, and she's a figure skater, and they had to share an ice rink, and it kind of develops from there. And then Wildfire was set at a summer camp, and they were both like camp leaders. They both worked at the camp, but they had a one-night stand, and then they met again at the camp and didn't sort of realise they were both going to be working at this camp together. And yeah, they're both just really lovely stories. The way Hannah Grace writes, I really enjoy her romances because there's not a lot of like miscommunication in them. They're very sort of adult in a way, like romances. Like they talk about stuff and it's not just like, you know, a bit daft kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoy her writing and I'm looking forward to this one. I think this one is about Henry, but I don't think we've met the female lead yet. But I think he is, I think it must be hockey as well. He's like a lead hockey player and his grades are like coming down, but he needs to keep them up in order to be the captain. I think that's what it is. And then the female lead is going to help him bring his grades back up. I think that's sort of the storyline. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to reading that one. Okay, next up we have got The Wedding Wish by Erin Sterling. So this is the third one in the X-Hex trilogy. I think it's a trilogy, the X-Hex series. So the X-Hex and the Kiss Curse are the first two, and they are very like witchy romances. The first one, she puts a hex on her ex, but it sort of hexes the whole town that they're in. And then the second one, I can't fully remember what the second one is about, even though I've read it more recently than the X-Hex. I can't really remember. I think this is the one where they are like they have rival shops. So the three male leads in these books are three brothers, and then I think the first two was the best friends. I think the female lead in X-Hex and the female lead in Kiss Curse are best friends. I think that's the case. I can't fully remember, but yeah, I really enjoyed both of those books. So they're just very easy to read, like witchy, you know, feel-good books. I'm hoping the Wedding Wish is going to be the same. So it's following the third brother. I'm not sure if we've met the woman yet in this one, but it's definitely the third brother, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember, he's a little bit of a loner, bit of a grump. He kind of isolated himself in the middle of the mountains, and now he's going to come back to the town, I think. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. Like I say, I did enjoy the first two, so hopefully this one will be just as good. Okay, next up we have Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. So this is part of the Rebel Blue Ranch series. And the first one was Done and Dusted, and it's like cowboy, small town romances. Do I need to say any more? You know? I just think, I don't know who this story is following. I don't know the characters. I know that I really enjoyed Done and Dusted, and I love a good cowboy, small town romance. So that's why I'm going to read it, you know? That's why it's on this list. That's it, really. Also, the covers are beautiful. I don't have Done and Dusted in a physical copy, but I definitely need to get it, and then I'll get Swift and Saddled as well, just because I think they're such pretty books. This one, I think she is a city girl coming into the small town. Such a good trope, gonna be such a good book. I'm excited to read it. So yeah, that's Swift and Saddled, Lila Sage. And then next up we've got another witchy book. This is making me realise I read a lot of witchy books. This is Rise and Divine by Lana Harper. So this is part of the Thistle Grove series, I think. Yeah, the Witches of Thistle Grove. So we've got Payback's a Witch, which is the first one. Then we've got From Bad to Cursed, I think is the next one. Then something else is in the middle, and then A Charm's Way is the fourth, and this is the fifth. What's the other one? Oh, Back in a Spell. That's the third. I've not read that one yet. I've read the first two. I've not read the third and fourth, but I enjoyed the first two. I don't think I've read Back in a Spell. No, I mustn't have, because it's on this shelf here. So I've got those two to read still, and then I'll probably go into reading this one. But yeah, they're just very easy to read, witchy sort of romances. I think the first one was two women. I can't remember whether the second one might have been the same. I can't fully remember. I read it a bit ago. So yeah, there's sort of an LGBTQ plus representation in there, and yeah, they're just really nice, easy, witchy romances. You know, what more could you ask for? So yeah, that is Rise and Divine, this one's called. So it's part of the Witches of Thistle Grove book 5. So like I say, I've got 3 and 4 to read yet, but then I will be getting this one too. Okay, next up we've got Better Left Behind by Mary E. Roach. I'm not sure I've read anything by this author yet, to be honest, not that I can remember. But this one looks really good. So basically Lucy wants to go on like a relaxing beach holiday where she can just sleep and enjoy herself in the sun. But her dad is a famous detective, and her mum ends up taking her to this abandoned amusement park where they find a body, and then it sort of leads on from there. So she was really hoping for a nice chilled holiday, and now she's having to find out what happened with this body. Okay, so it says, as Lucy's mum is swept into top secret private detective stuff, Lucy sets out on her own to investigate her mum's mysterious connection with this town. Lucy's snooping sets her on a collision course with Audrey Nelson, the mysterious girl on the motorcycle who Lucy could swear she saw near the amusement park the night the body was found. If Lucy and Audrey can't work together to uncover secrets that go back generations, there will likely be another body found at the base of the old vine covered roller coaster outside of town, and this time it might be Lucy's. So it's a bit of like a mystery, kind of whodunit maybe, a little bit of a thriller. Yeah, it just seems really good. I'm looking forward to reading that one. Okay, next up we've got The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. Again, I don't think I read much or anything from this author before, but this is a cozy fantasy, and I really got into them once reading Travis Baldree book. Yeah, once I read his books, I really enjoyed Legends to Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust, or Bone Dust and Bookshops. Bookshops and Bone Dust. I really enjoyed those two. So this one has been sort of compared to those, a cozy fantasy. It says, as head phoenix keeper at a world-renowned zoo for magical creatures, Ayla's childhood dream of conserving critically endangered firebirds seems closer than ever. There's just one glaring caveat. Her zoo's breeding program hasn't functioned for a decade. When a tragic phoenix heist sabotages a flagship initiative at a neighbouring zoo, Ayla must prove her derelict facilities are fit to take the reins. But saving an entire species from extinction requires more than stellar animal handling skills. So it's like all different magical creatures. She's trying to save them, trying to save the phoenixes. It just seems like a really lovely book. I love a good cozy fantasy. I'm really excited to read this one. Okay, next up we have got Reckless, which is the second one in the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. So I'll be honest, I've not actually read Powerless yet. I do have it on my shelf and I'm hoping to get it read this month, but I've not actually got around to it yet. That I've heard so many good things about it. So it's a fantasy series, it's an enemies to lovers. It's definitely a fantasy, and it's a romantasy. It's a romance fantasy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to starting the series, and the second one comes out next year, so I definitely want to get Powerless read. Hopefully I'll have it read before the end of this year, hopefully. But yeah, I definitely want to read Reckless when that comes out. Okay, next up we've got another fantasy, which is the first one in a new series, and it's called So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole. So this is a Divine Traitors, and it says, whip smart and immersive, this Jamaican-inspired fantasy follows a God's-blessed heroine who's forced to choose between saving her sister or protecting her homeland. Perfect for fans of Iron Widow, which I don't think I've read, and The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I've not read. I've only not read that. I think, is that the like massive book, the really thick like orange one? I've not read that because of the sheer size of it. I'm too intimidated. I'm pretty sure that's the really thick book, Priory of the Orange Tree. Yeah, I think that's the orange book. So I've not read that yet, but this is a new fantasy series, so I'm excited to read that. Hopefully I'll read it when it comes out, because I think when fantasies come out they can get spoiled, you know, with people talking about them. So I like to try and read them, or if everyone's really enjoying it, then you get really high expectations for it, you know. So yeah, this one comes out in January, so I'm excited to get into a new fantasy series. Next up we have Dear Wendy by Anne Zao. This one says, Dear Wendy, Sophie and Joe, two aromantic and asexual students at Wellesley College, engage in an online feud while unknowingly becoming friends in real life. In this dual POV young adult contemporary debut from Anne Zao, Sophia Chi is in her first year at Wellesley College, despite her parents wishing that she attended a real university rather than a liberal arts school, and has long accepted her aromantic and asexual identities. I'm not 100% sure what aromantic means. I've never heard that word before. Despite knowing she'll never fall in love, she enjoys running an Instagram account that offers relationship advice to students at Wellesley. I'm going to see what aromantic means. Okay, aro is an umbrella term used by people who don't typically experience romantic attraction. Okay, romantic attraction can be defined as the desire to have romantic contact or interaction with an individual. Okay, learned something new there. I've genuinely never heard that before. So it's like a LGBTQ+I representative contemporary fiction about like friendship. It's described as a platonic comedy. It's ultimately a love story about two people who are not and will not be in love. I love that. That's so cool. I've never sort of like read something like that before, I don't think. So I'm excited to read that one. So that is Dear Wendy. Next up is again a new one, the first one in a new fantasy series, and it's called Road to Ruin by Hannah Lee, and this is the Mage Bike Courier series, an electrifying gritty fantasy from debut author Hannah Lee. Hannah Lee that takes a royal messenger on a high-speed chase across a climate-ravaged wasteland featuring motorcycles, monsters and magic. That sounds so good. I'm excited to read this one. I don't know if it's a YA or I'm not sure. I have no idea, but I am excited to read this one, and I love reading like a debut novel to see, you know, you see them from the very first book that they brought out. I think that's so cool. So yeah, that's Road to Ruin, another new fantasy. Next up we have got Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So I recently read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and I really enjoyed it. I've not massively loved the few books that I've read from her before. The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain I wasn't a massive fan of, and Love Theoretically I've not read yet, but hopefully I'll get it read by the end of the year. But I really enjoyed Check and Mate, so I think this is her first sort of fantasy romance, because it's about a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf become a love deep enough to sink your teeth into this new paranormal romance. So I think this is her first paranormal one, so I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing how Ali Hazelwood sort of gets on, like writing a not writing a romance, she's wrote a lot of romances, writes a paranormal romance. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. That is Bride, so it's a vampire and werewolf romance. It sounds good to me. I'm excited to read that one. Next up we've got the reappearance of Rachel Price, which is by Holly Jackson. So this is the author that wrote The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I have read the first two of, and I really enjoyed both of them. So I do have the third one somewhere on my shelves. There it is, As Good as Dead, the third one in that series. And I also have, I think it's called 5 to Survive, or 5 Survive, something like that. I have that book as well, which I'm looking forward to reading. So this is a whole new sort of mystery, a new true crime fueled mystery thriller about a girl determined to uncover the shocking truth about her missing mother while filming a documentary on the unsolved case. So I think it's going to be similar to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in that we'll see, you know, like transcripts and things like that within the book. It's not just all, you know, like normal, how a normal book is read. We'll see like text messages and, like I say, transcripts and like case studies and notes and stuff like that. Hopefully it'll be written like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was. So it's just sort of going to be a new mystery thriller, like it says. So that is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Next up we have The Housemaid is Watching, which is the third one in the Housemaid series. So I think the first one is just called The Housemaid, and then the second is A Housemaid's Tale, I think it's called. I've read both of them. Oh, The Housemaid's Secret, that's the second one, The Housemaid's Secret. So they're by Frida McFadden. So I've read both of those and I really enjoyed them. So they're like, I guess, would they be called thrillers, I think? So this is the third one. I actually didn't realise there was going to be a third one in the series. But I won't read this one just in case it spoils the other two and you've not read them. But yeah, this is the third one in the Housemaid series. Hopefully, I don't know if it's just going to be a trilogy or not, but the front says, she lives next door, she knows your secrets, the housemaid is watching. Hopefully it'll follow the same character. I can't actually remember what happened at the end of The Housemaid's Secret. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm looking forward to reading that one. I did really enjoy the others. Next up we have got The Wiener Across the Way by Amy Award. So this is a Cocky Kingsman's series, and I read The Cock Down the Block not that long ago, and I really enjoyed it. So it's just a romance. I think he was really famous and she was like a small town girl, but he still lives in the small town, but he's like a really famous sportsman, I think. But they were best friends, so it's a best friends to lovers. She was plus size, which I absolutely love, and yeah, it was just a really nice, funny book. Just a lovely romance that, you know, you can just, it doesn't take you that long to get through. It's just a really easy read, but you can just escape for a little bit. It was like that, a really lovely romance where the two, you can see like it's written really well, where they are best friends to lovers. I think he's always been in love with her, she's always been in love with him, but they don't tell each other because they don't want to ruin the friendship. It was that kind of thing. I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. The Wiener Across the Way. I think again she is a plus size female lead, so it's the grumpy football player and the pop star this time. But yeah, I love the front covers on it. I don't know if this one is out next year or it's the end of this year. Oh, it's the 28th of December this year, but we'll count it for next year. you know, I'll probably read it next year. But this, I'm pretty sure the first one was on Kindle Unlimited, so hopefully this one will be as well. But yeah, that's The Wiener Across the Way by Amy Award. Next up we have Sleep Like Death by Kayleen Bayron. So I've recently read You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight and Cinderella is Dead by this author, and I really enjoyed both of them. I love how she writes. I think they're so interesting and just flows really well, but also you're like really gripped and want to find out what's going to happen. Real, like, you know, I don't want to put the book down, I just want to carry on reading it. I'm hoping to read the other two, I think is This Poison Heart, I think it's called, and This Wicked Fate, I think are her other two, which I'm looking forward to reading. I've actually asked for them for Christmas this year, so hopefully I'll have them and I can read them next year as well. But this is her new book, so it's Sleep Like Death. So it's a original YA Snow White retelling that brings a new and exciting voice to this familiar tale. So I don't usually really like fairy tale retellings, but when I read Cinderella is Dead, it wasn't really like that. It wasn't like the same story. That one was set kind of, I think it was like 200 years, something like that, after Cinderella had died, like in real life. So I really enjoyed that book. Hopefully this one is going to be the same, and it's not just going to be the same sort of... It does say perfect for fans of Cinderella is Dead. Only the truly desperate and foolish seek out the night, an ancient monster who twists wishes into curses. Eve knows this firsthand. One of her mothers was cursed by the night and trapped in the body of a songbird. With the unique abilities to communicate with animals and conjure weapons from nature, Eve has trained all her life to defeat him. With more and more villagers harmed by the night's corrupt deals, Eve believes she is finally ready to face him, but when Queen Regina begins acting strangely, talking to seemingly no one, isolating herself and lashing out at the slightest provocation, Eve must question if her powers are enough to save her family and her kingdom. So I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Like I say, hopefully I'm going to read her other two early next year, if not the end of this year. And yeah, then read that one. I'm looking forward to it coming out. Next up, we have got Scripted, which is by Fern Cotton. So I think this is her first fiction book. So Fern Cotton she's got quite a few books that are non-fiction, that are sort of mental health based books. A lot of them are like workbooks, you know, you like work through them and it's meant to help you with your mental health. But I think this is her first fiction one. So it says Jade Shaw has lost control of her life, pushed around by her warring family and taken for granted by a boyfriend who's more interested in his brand than their relationship. She knows that somewhere along the path to being an adult she's lost her way and she can't seem to find it again. The last place she expects to discover answers is on the floor outside her flat, but there it is, a script containing her name and her boyfriend Adam's, and depicting another huge argument in which Jade fails to stand up for herself. The weird thing is, this argument hasn't happened yet. The row becomes reality. Jade tries and fails to find her voice, then more scripts appear, predicting infuriating scenarios in which Jade's boss, mum and bridezilla sister walk all over her. Whoever is leaving these scripts knows Jade inside out, but who is writing them? How are they able to predict her future so accurately, and what can Jade do to rewrite the script? I think that is such a cool concept, and when I read that I was like, yeah, definitely one I want to read. Again, this is out sort of mid 2024, but it just seems really good. I think that just seems something I'd really enjoy, so I'm excited to read that one. And then we've just got 3 books left. So we've got A Cruel Twist of Fate by H.F. Asquith. So this is a gothic YA mystery thriller. When 18-year-old Helena is sent to be a governess at Archford Manor, a beautiful but crumbling manor house perched at the edge of a causeway in the North Sea, she feels confident she will know how to deal with the esteemed but eccentric Caldwell family who own it. But it quickly becomes clear that the Caldwells are hiding more than Helena could ever have dreamed of. A series of sinister events come to a head with a gruesome death, swiftly followed by another. Worse still, with the path back to the mainland cut off by a terrible storm and no way to get help, suspicions and paranoia quickly run rampant. But the Caldwells aren't the only ones keeping secrets. Helena has some very important ones of her own, and soon she begins to wonder whether dark powers beyond her control might be forcing her to twist the fate of the family and her own destiny forever. That just sounds so good to me. I don't think this one is a series. I think it's just a standalone, which I feel like doesn't happen often these days. I feel like they tend to be series and you're sort of committed to these characters, but I think this one is just a standalone, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. I do love a good YA book because I just think they're so like easy to read and get through them so quickly, and you've not sort of got to have to think too much. I think that's what it is, you can just escape and enjoy it, you know. So yeah, I'm excited to read that one, A Cruel Twist of Fate. The penultimate book we've got is The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. This one just seems so interesting. If you could open a door to anywhere, where would you go? In New York City, bookseller Cassie Andrews is living an unassuming life and she is given a gift by a favourite customer. It's a book, an unusual book, full of strange writing and mysterious drawings, and at the very front there is a handwritten message to Cassie, telling her that this is the Book of Doors and that any door is every door. What Cassie is about to discover is that the Book of Doors is a special book that bestows an extraordinary powers on whoever possesses it. And soon she and her best friend Izzy are exploring all that the Book of Doors can do, swept away from their quiet lives by the possibilities of travelling to anywhere they want. But the Book of Doors is not the only magical book in the world. There are other books that can do wondrous and dreadful things when wielded by dangerous and ruthless individuals who crave what Cassie now possesses. That just seems so interesting to me. I'm really excited to see how that sort of plays out, how it's written, where the story sort of goes, who these bad people are, you know, what they're gonna do. Are Cassie and Izzy gonna be able to defend themselves? It just seems so good. I'm excited to read it. Like, another concept that I've not really seen before, so I'm looking forward to reading that one. And then last but not least, we've got Frank and Red by Matt Coyne. This is a heartwarming story of an unlikely friendship. This one just seems like such a cute book that's just really like heartwarming and feel good. And I'm just really excited to read it. I'm really looking forward to it. And it says, sometimes the friend you need is the one you never saw coming. Frank is a grumpy old curmudgeon, I'm not sure what that means, a recluse whose only company is the ghost of his dead wife Marcy. He is estranged from his friends, his son, and the ever-changing world beyond his front gate. And then Red moves in next door. Red is 6, a boy struggling to adjust to the separation of his mum and dad, a new school, and the demonic school bully. Red is curious, smart, he never stops talking, and he's got a trampoline. From the moment Red's blonde mop appears over the top of the fence that divides their two gardens, the unlikeliest of friendships is born. And it is a friendship that will change both of their lives forever. That just seems so cute. I'm really excited to read it. I'm guessing, you know, Red's going to become Frank's like company that he really needs, and Frank's going to give Red advice on how to deal with the bully and his mum and dad getting separated. And I just feel like it's just going to be really cute, probably going to make me cry, which sometimes you just need that in a book. And yeah, just a nice feel good fiction, you know. So that is the end of today's video. I'm pretty sure that was 24 books. I hope it was 24 books in 2024. New releases that are coming out, except that one by Amy Award, which is coming out December, but we'll just pretend it's coming out next year because it basically is the 28th of December, you know. We'll count that as 2024. So yeah, that is the new releases that I'm looking forward to reading. I know there are many more, and there are a lot of popular books as well that are coming out next year, but these are new releases that I'm more likely to read than any of the others. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading them. There's still many books that, you know, are already out, even ones that I owned that I'm excited to read next year. So maybe I'll do another video of books that I'm looking forward to reading that are already out, just books that I'm excited to read or that are on my TBR that I'm going to get read next year. But yeah, I'm not sure, but there are loads of books, a lot to read, a lot that I want to read, that I'm excited to read. But yeah, these are just the new releases that were coming out next year. And yeah, that is the end of today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did and you'd like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. But yeah, other than that, I will see you in a bit.